Trying to understand how meditation can improve the health of the autonomic nervous system and prevent chronic disease without understanding what the autonomic nervous system is and what chronic disease is reminds me of a little story. When I was a young lad, I once went foraging in the woods for carrots. And at this time, I didn't even know what a carrot tree looked like. Pretty dumb. So, let's start with chronic disease. What is it? Now I know what you're thinking. Chronic disease must be hilarious because it's killing me. Chronic disease humor. But the reality is that it is killing about 70% of us. So, for those of us who are interested in not dying, let me tell you a little bit about chronic disease. It includes lots of pathologies like hypertension, rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, the list goes on. It doesn't include things like infections, starvation, getting eaten by a tiger. Generally, we're not cool enough to die from that stuff anymore. It's going to be the plaque in the arteries that gets us now. So hopefully that'll make you feel really good to be a part of the modern human race. Anyways, sometimes these diseases can be reversed, but a lot of times, once you get it, you have to manage it for the rest of your life like a bad Catholic marriage. So over half of Americans today live with at least one chronic disease, and 75% of healthcare spending in the U.S. goes towards treating chronic diseases. The saddest part of this is that a lot of the time these chronic diseases can be prevented if people have the right tools and the motivation to use those tools. And meditation might be one of those tools, which is why I'm exploring it, because meditation has the potential to improve the health of the autonomic nervous system in a lot of people, which the autonomic nervous system is a major contributor to at least some of these chronic diseases. So let me help you understand and teach you everything you need to know about the autonomic nervous system. That's the best joke I've made this whole video, because the nervous system is extremely complicated and kind of freaky. It reminds me of kind of like an alien creature inhabiting our bodies and pulling the strings on our behavior from another planet. It's pretty freaky and weird. Look at a picture of a neuron, if you get a chance, and tell me that thing is not a freaking alien. It's living inside of you and controlling your every move. So, the autonomic nervous system happens to be probably the most ancient and alien part of us. It's not the part that directly helps you to raise a finger if you want to flip somebody off in traffic, but it does control things like heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, pupil dilation, and a bunch of other stuff that you don't really have to think about that's kind of important because it keeps you alive. So that's a relief. Our autonomic nervous system is taking care of that so we can focus on more important things like flipping people off in traffic. The autonomic nervous system is divided into two parts. You've got the parasympathetic, rest and digest, and the sympathetic, fight or flight. Fight or flight. So the sympathetic nervous system, generally in the problem that people have today, generally speaking, that contributes to chronic disease is usually, if it's autonomic nervous system dysfunction, it would be parasympathetic activity, so rest and digest, too little of that, and too much fight or flight sympathetic activity. And interestingly enough, as a side note, chronic pain can contribute to this problem because it suppresses parasympathetic activity and ramps up that sympathetic activity. So a good example of what I'm trying to describe here is blood pressure. So blood pressure is controlled by the autonomic nervous system. More sympathetic activity would make it go up. More parasympathetic activity would bring it down. So 30% of all adults in the U.S. have hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and the Center for Disease Control actually considers high blood pressure itself to be a chronic disease. But aside from that, it can definitely contribute to all kinds of other chronic diseases like kidney disease, cardiovascular disease, stroke, etc. In fact, I just saw a patient for the first time last week who is losing their vision because, well, they have some vision loss because of chronic hypertension that they had for years, which caused an increase in intraocular pressure and damaged their retina. So that's called hypertensive retinopathy, and it's really not that rare. So what we have here is an example where you've got autonomic nervous system dysfunction leading to high blood pressure, and then high blood pressure leading to contributing to other chronic diseases. And that's just one example of how this kind of a situation can happen. There's a plethora of other ways. So that's why I want to give this meditation thing a real try, because there's legit peer-reviewed science piling up these days to suggest that meditation, and mindfulness meditation in particular, could help lower blood pressure, improve sleep, decrease anxiety and depression. And all of these things are an indication that your autonomic nervous system is functioning better. So guess what? Not only does that have the potential to help you avoid dying a while longer, which is nice, but also help you live a better, more fulfilling life and a more helpful life while you're here, which is also very nice. So there's good science to support that too, and some of these articles I'm going to cite when I post these videos on how to take the measurements. So there you go. You have chronic disease to run from and love and happiness to run towards. That's what meditation can potentially do for you. That's why I'm going to give it a shot. So I posted the details of this experiment, including all the different options for how to learn to meditate. Well, maybe not all the different options, but a lot of the different options to learn how to meditate. And in the future, I'm going to put up some instructional videos on how to take the pre and post measurements that can help you understand the effects of 14 days of meditation on your body, in particular the autonomic nervous system. So check out the full plan and the event details if you're interested, and I'll be posting more videos of the measurements as we start to get closer to September 17th, which is coming up pretty soon. So there you have it, chronic disease and autonomic nervous system dysfunction and meditation for dummies, taught by a guy who doesn't really meditate yet. So thanks for hanging in there till the end. I hope it was a good experience.